All right. Okay, there's that. Yep. Resuming the live, exclamation mark. Oh. Have to type that. All right. And have a poll going. Custom. Okay. All right. Oh, it has suggested polls now. Okay. Huh. That's interesting. I guess I'll go with that. Let's do that. That's fine. Okay. All right. So I got the poll going and stuff. There's just so many mechanics to all of this. They should know to like head over by now. It's like, hey, that thing happened. You know the drill. All right. Hello, James. Hello, Mario. Hello, T. Burke. Hello, Joey. Hello, Mark. Tortured Saiyan. Okay. Interesting name. Hello, Russ. Hello, Madeline. Hello, K-Bar. Hello, The Return. Hello, 4 Flew Away. And that should tell you what paperwork. Hey, Rob, what's up? But the paperwork fed up with them. That's not a real sentence. I'm back. I'm back. Put how old you are in the chat. Rob, how you doing? It's been a while. 28? Okay. Oh, Jesus. That's the wrong layout.
How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing good.
Right on. What's up?
I actually came up because of this topic. I was kind of in a conversation earlier today about it. What I've been seeing a lot lately is people saying the reason why Donald Trump won was because of white voters, which, I mean, I can understand the argument, but I feel like it's a disingenuous argument when you take in the population of the United States. That's like for every election. But what I did when I pulled up the chart for which races and which genders were voting for who, what I started to notice was Trump actually lost the white vote, where Harris was gaining the white vote compared to 2020. The real disparity was the Hispanic and Black community. It looks like, especially the Hispanic community.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Would you mind turning on your can you turn on your camera to show
I
us?
can't, but I could give you the source. It's NBC Washington. So they do charts, and they separate it by genders. They separate it by race.
Yeah, because I have the same chart, and Black people of genders did vote for Kamala. Like, it's like the whole, like, this goes into the conversation of like the whole POC thing, right? Of like, Black people voted for them, but like Asian, Latin, and other identified voted for more lean towards Trump. And like white people voted for Trump as well. It's like,
Yeah, so the one I'm
so
looking at
insane.
is comparing 2020 and 2024. So the
Right.
percentage change for Trump with white men, he lost 2%. Harris gained 1% for white men. Trump lost 3% of white women.
Okay.
Harris gained 3% of white women.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
when
the
it
other
comes,
demographics, aside from black people, voted for Trump.
yeah, that is true. So like the
And
Hispanic
also,
community
there was
was,
a huge uncommitted movement.
yeah. And for the Hispanic community, it was Trump gained a 18% increase of the Hispanic men. He lost 15%. Actually, sorry, Harris lost 15% of the Hispanic men. And then when it comes to Hispanic women, Trump gained 7%, whereas Harris lost 8% when you're comparing the 2020 and 2024. So it seems like almost the people with like a 1% to 2% difference of people that it seems like they're not voting, but it seems like it's almost like they're changing from one side of the aisle to the other when you look at these percentage changes. Um, so
Well,
I've been seeing that.
percentage changes versus overall population, because I don't know what versus the overall population was,
Yeah,
because the uncommitted movement was very strong this year, and she basically snubbed the uncommitted voters. So it was like a lot of people were like, well, I can either vote for Democrat light, vote Democrat, or just not vote.
and what do you think was like the driving factor? I think Kamala ran her campaign so poorly. Um, but what do you think is like the driving factor of why people didn't want to support her?
There are a lot of driving factors. There isn't just one.
Yeah,
Like, we can go down the list. A lot of those celebrities that endorsed her were on the P Diddy list. She didn't have. There were no trans people at the DNC. She had Israeli people and no Palestinians at the DNC. She snubbed the uncommitted movement. She told the same speech everywhere and only changed her speeches a little bit
yeah,
after
she did.
the presidential election. And I mean, after the presidential debate and the vice presidential debate, you can't talk to this. For me, as a linguist, you can't talk to the same people the same kind of way. Because if you're
Yeah,
going around showing that you're treating everybody the same, that means you don't care about their issues. Some people care more about abortion access. Some people care more about workers' rights and unions. Some people care more about the environment. Your speech should match your community. That means that you're just not invested in the people that you're talking to.
yeah. I think the
Like,
only way that was like noticeable that she changed, which I even if you support Harris, I don't think you can disagree with this, is that, and people call it code switching. I find it a bit disingenuous because there was about like 5 different accents she went with, depending on the demographic she was talking to. And I feel like that came off as insanely condescending. It was not the right thing to do. Um,
so I didn't catch that, but since I'm neither here nor that one on there, I'm not going to argue.
yeah, yeah. There's a few times. I mean, there's like compilations where she kind of changes, whereas like Trump just talks how he talks. It's, we're gonna go in there. It's the best. Like he never changes it. But like,
That's true. You're right. You were absolutely right.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like right now one of the biggest motivating factors was the way people are treating each other socially. Um, there was some things that like the Democratic Party, I feel like got an underhand toss for this election. It should have been knocked out of the park. But when they started to fixate on the extremes, when they started like bringing up, 1930s Germany and stuff, I think that's when the undecided voter was kind of going, okay, what is going on right now? Because like you can make your arguments that maybe he's like fascist or bigoted, but to compare him to someone with that record in the 1930s and something that we historically can see what happened, I just feel like that's when you start to lose the plot of your argument.
Well, there's also like there has to be an acknowledgement that we don't really pay attention to everything that led up to that event, because the part between World War One and World War Two is very important, because we can't
100%.
forget that Germany had the opportunity to quell that rhetoric. They did jail him and he was bailed out. And it's like, y'all don't see the problem? Like, what the fuck? So, like, there's, and at the same time, I do see what you're saying of like, we are very systemically educated on the horrors of the Holocaust, but we're not nearly as educated on the horrors of American chattel slavery, which is something that happened to us. And that's on purpose. So I mean there's a lot of ways we could reach over, under, beside this issue. And it's like, are we going to keep talking about this, like, this unrelated shit? Or are we going to talk about, like, hey, these are the pressing matters? Because people wanted to call people voting for Jill Stein or any other third party a single issue voter. Meanwhile, you're only voting for Kamala because of abortion, and you still didn't get it, while also knowing that Joe Biden could fix this abortion thing if he wanted to.
Thank you. That's what I've been saying. She's been using it. Okay, so that's what's frustrating me, is that's one of her biggest talking points. But and people are like, she's not the president. And I'm like, Biden says himself that he fundamentally agrees with everything she thinks when it comes to that issue. But they have not made any type of executive order, because that was what her plan was if she, and we could see it by the election now, even if she won, I don't think she would have had the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
And it's just, she would have had to try to do executive order. Why can't Biden do that now if they care so much about the issue?
So Josh said something. So the president can't overrule the Supreme Court. However, the president can extend the Supreme Court in the president's favor. So, and it's not even unprecedented. It's happened before. So, hey, Jay. And also, hey to all the other comrades in the chat. I don't like interrupting people when I have a guest up, but I do want to know I see y'all. Hey. So it's not even a matter of overruling the Supreme Court. It's a matter of adding more justices so you can get what you want. And Joe Biden could have fucking done that.
But don't you think, don't you think there should be restrictions on that? Because like that could be a slippery slope, in my opinion, where it just keeps getting packed and packed and packed and packed. And then when does it end?
Well, I mean, what do we have now? Like, kind of doesn't make a difference.
I guess. I do think there's a slippery slope if they...
We're already in the slippery slope, though. We're already here.
I mean, what do you mean? What defines slippery slope? Like, what do you mean by that?
So I tell you what, since you were the first person to say it, what do you think defines it?
A slippery slope?
Yeah.
Well, I define it as a slippery slope of overreach, where it starts to become basically treating the Supreme Court as a political football, which, I mean, it's designed not to be. That's why we don't necessarily elect judges to begin with. They're not someone that has a certain amount of terms, so they don't have to run like as a candidate, basically, which is going to cause biases and issues like that.
Okay, then I'll use your definition and continue to say that we are already in the slippery slope.
Yeah, but like, how so?
Because we're already at them getting rid of Roe v. Wade, and Clarence Thomas has said that they're going to look at gay marriage next. So, like, if we're already in the place where the Supreme Court is packed with one agenda, and they've already taken down one thing, and they're looking at taking down another, we're already here. We're already at the slippery slope.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see this gay marriage thing. I don't think gay marriage is really going to be affected at all.
We would like to think that, right? But
when it comes to
what happened.
Yeah, but when it comes to the AB decision, I mean, when it comes to the Constitution, I do agree that was the more constitutional choice.
You mean the Constitution that hasn't been updated in about 400 years? That one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been updated, yeah. I don't know what you mean, 400 years.
I mean...
Amendments have been added.
Amendments, right? But like the Constitution itself, other countries actually update their Constitution to match whatever's going on right now. It's like this whole 2A, right?
Yeah.
Like 2A was written back when they had fucking muskets.
No, they had machine guns as well.
What? Post World War One, right? Pre World War One, right?
Yeah, they had, so when the Constitution was written, they actually had rotary machine guns, which
okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
what do
they
we
even
have?
included cannons under that description, to be honest. But
So what do we have now?
what do we have now?
Yeah.
Firearms. Yeah, weapons. I mean, like,
Yeah, no, go ahead and describe it. What do we have now?
yeah, rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles.
Automatics, things that can shoot many more rounds than those rotary machine guns, right?
Well, it's pretty difficult to own an automatic in the United States, but yeah,
So yeah, I mean it's not. It depends.
it's very difficult actually. You can't even name a mass
It's
shooting.
difficult, but not impossible. Difficult doesn't mean undoable.
Yeah, but you'd have to go through like a rigorous process to even get that. So like, you can't even name a
Well, you
mass
can buy
shooting.
them illegally.
You can't even name a mass shooting where an automatic was ever even used.
No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that it can happen, right? Because
It
difficult
can
doesn't
happen,
mean
but the only
impossible.
people that carry them have like a very special license or permit to be able to do that, which like them selling it under the table isn't really common. Illegally owned firearms and then being sold illegally, those do happen, but again, that's already breaking the law. That's already against the law.
Right. So the fact that we have this so-called living document that was written before we had what I was getting at is like we have shit like Uzis now.
Yeah.
We have some people will argue on the AK-47 thing, but because AK-47s are cheap pieces of shit.
No, they're
But
not.
we have what is it? Is it AK-47 or AR-15 that's the cheap piece of shit?
Both of them are very reliable firearms. AK-47 is actually the
Hold on a second.
AK-47. Yeah, the AK-47 when it was created, I think was like the 60s. It's been used to this day because you could throw it in mud, you could do a lot of things to it, and it would still operate.
Yeah, but one of them is mass produced, which is why they're like it's a cheap piece of shit.
No, the AR-15 is one of the most reliable. That's why it's such a common weapon.
Okay. Oh, there it is. AK-47 reliability. Literally the first one that came up.
Yeah, they're like
AR.
super reliable weapons. That's why they've been around for like over 30 years.
Revolve? Hang on a second. Yeah, I'll look at it. Hang on.
Yeah. And I do have a problem where like a lot of people have opinions on the Second Amendment that essentially don't know anything about firearms, which I think you should know something about them if you're going to have an opinion on it.
Is it a matter? Well, I don't like when it comes to what the Second Amendment actually does. My opinion of it isn't about the firearms, it's about what they're supposed to be used for.
Yeah.
And then some people would argue that that's not what that means.
The construction of the Constitution and the Second Amendment was specifically designed for tyranny.
Oh, okay. So when you brought up the Constitution in terms of, from what I recall, we were talking about abortion because I said that voting for Kamala was a single issue vote because she was mainly running off of abortion.
Mm-hmm.
How did that tie into tyranny?
What do you mean? How did that tie into tyranny?
So I said abortion, you said Constitution, and now you're saying that the Constitution was about avoiding tyranny. So how does that tie into tyranny?
Well, no, the First and Second Amendment were specifically for tyranny.
Yeah. So, but you're the one who brought up the Constitution, correct?
Well, yeah, we were kind of going down this like rabbit hole because I said I don't think I think they made the right constitutional choice, and then you said it's a very old document, and then we talked about the Second Amendment, and then I explained to you why the Second Amendment exists.
Yeah. So we're gonna take that. We're gonna take that piece right there, right? And then we're going to apply that back to where we started at the beginning. So when you said that they made the right constitutional choice, when I said Kamala Harris was mainly running off of abortion, which they could have fucking fixed because of the whole conversation that came from that with the Supreme Court. What did you mean by that?
I don't know the way I mean, because we were going off topic, to be clear. Like we were going kind of into the details of the Constitution and different amendments that were in
And now we're going back. So
yeah, they
I
don't
said
tie
single issue
together
vote.
essentially.
Okay, so they don't tie together. All right. Well, moving on. So what else is one of your top criticisms of the Harris campaign?
I guess another criticism with Harris. I wasn't really thrilled with some of her policies. I don't think they were going to be effective, especially the first generational home buyer policy. It had, in my opinion, it had a lot of issues that were going to occur if that was going to go into effect, affecting the housing market.
So I don't know that much about like the policies. I'm more criticizing the campaign, not the policies.
Oh, okay, yeah, the campaign.
Yeah, specifically.
Yeah, she spent the beginning of her campaign branding herself as the campaign of joy, and then she quickly abandoned that as we got near the end of the election. I don't know if it was out of panic, but that's when she got into the talking points of comparing them to, you know, Nazis and all that stuff. So she kind of like lost her own branding. It went from joy to fearful and mad.
So, like, would you like to explain? Because, like, I'm not familiar with the beginning of her campaign being described as the campaign of joy.
Oh yeah, that was her branding. So she said she kept reiterating the word joy, and that was the same thing with MAGA, where they say "Make America." That was her branding of her campaign, and so she kept repeating the word joy, unburdened by what has been, blah blah blah, like that saying. That's all a part of it. Moving on from the past, this is all about joy, and then she started to kind of devolve into obsessing about the past, um, and just going from joy to anger pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, that's a good. I guess that's not something that I really thought of, and I guess that's not something that people are really I guess circulating on, because it's like, while we're talking about obsessing about the past, Trump did say that he wanted stricter generals, like what's his name, Kim Jong Un has and shit. And it's like we're familiar with the whole situation in North Korea. It's like he did say some shit. I feel like there were comments that prompted those responses, but I will agree with you that they leaned too far into it, while constantly inviting Republicans, who are supposed to be the other party, into the fold.
Yeah, I mean, none of this Kim Jong Un stuff is what instigated. What instigated her talking points at the end were at the Madison Square Garden rally. She was comparing that to the 1930s Triple K rally.
Oh, okay.
That's really what kind of set that off. Which I will admit, Tony Hinchcliffe, he's a comedian. He shouldn't have went up there. Whoever hired him was an idiot. But at the same time, he is a comedian. But as a comedian, he should have known the setting that he was in and what jokes would have been appropriate at that time.
And I feel like what happened during the Trump campaign is what's going to make people who are more left, progressive, Democrat, etc., more militant, because it's like I said, it's not just about Donald Trump getting the presidency. It's also about Congress and Senate also getting swept with Republicans. Like, they basically have a supermajority.
Yeah. But do you think the way Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, the way they soundbite to a heavy degree when it comes to Trump, do you think that backfired on them? So, for example, you had Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was all for the wars in the Middle East. He's a war hawk. He really is. Liz Cheney is as well, which prompted Trump to talk about, let's give her a rifle and put her in front of 9 barrels firing at her and see how quick she is to send people overseas. They soundbited that to just put her in front of 9 barrels and said that he wants to put her in front of a firing squad. So for the undecided voter, in my opinion, when they see that, it's almost like they're thinking that the voters are dumb.
I do remember that vaguely. It's like a lot happened in what was a lot of rapid succession. So I do vaguely remember that, and it's like, do I think that backfired? I don't think that backfired that hard. I will say yes, but I will give a light yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I think what a lot of what's at the forefront of people's minds is the stuff that I mentioned earlier: the snubbing, the not having certain people at the DNC, and like having the same speeches for every area. And what you brought up, and I think now that I think about it, somebody else also brought that up of her changing her accent depending on where she was.
Yeah.
Like I didn't hear it, but other people who have followed her around, they heard it, and I'm not going to argue with somebody, especially since there's more than one person saying it. I don't have a reason to argue.
Yeah, I mean, I got a list. Like, I think she did the preacher accent. She did a Hispanic accent. She did like an Ebonics kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. One of the things I kind of like, she pandered too hard to the point where she was like, "Oh, I'm out in these streets." That was another quote she said, which I was like, "Okay, all right." Like, you realize people see this. You're a politician. You're in a suit right now. Nobody's looking at you like you're in these streets. Like it would just came off as so disingenuous. Washing collard greens in her bathtub.
I heard that and I was like, girl, no. Like I can definitely see how that rubbed people the wrong way. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Hillary Clinton did the same thing. She said she carried hot sauce in her bag on the podcast with Charlemagne the God.
I do remember that, but Hillary still won the popular vote. And I feel like people are getting gaslit into forgetting about that. Uh-oh. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I mean, she did win the popular vote, but to be fair, the Democratic Party always wins the popular vote until now.
Willie, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person who's talking. You can wait your turn, buddy.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up so you can jump in. But yeah, I mean, they always won the popular vote. It's just up until now, I think there's just a lot of frustration with people. I think the Democratic Party, like Bernie Sanders said, they've completely abandoned the common person. They've completely abandoned the working class. It's all about the rich and the poor. They don't really care about anything else. And the working class truly is the middle class, the lower middle class, is truly what determines this election. And I think they just gave no mind to it at all.
I absolutely agree with you on that. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and we're going to get on to Billy, okay? All right. I like it. No long goodbyes. Just going to go ahead and jump off. All right, Billy, it's your turn. What's up? You can unmute.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. Hey, I just wanted to say that this whole thing, I want to, if you're going to place the blame on anything, I'd place the whole blame on a Democratic National Party. They put their candidate in a tough spot. The DNC.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put Ms. Harris in a bad spot. You know, with 107 days, how can you have a campaign? And they didn't vet the vice president, a nominee. I don't think they vetted him. And I really think that with them bringing Obama and Clinton in on the campaign trail hurt her a lot.
So what do you mean they didn't? As a Minnesotan, I'm interested in what you mean by they didn't vet Tim Walz.
Tim Walz got a lot of baggage.
So does every politician, but what do you like? Tim Walz has been like an exemplary governor.
Well, I mean, you know, as far as his tour of duty and stuff in the reserves and stuff, he embellished on that, and you know, he embellished on his football coach and stuff. And from what I understand, that there was some sneaky stuff going on within his campaign or his party up in Minnesota.
Sneaky stuff. What are you talking about?
Well, from what I know, I've heard rumors, and I don't like to throw rumors around and anything, but that he took the lunch money program away from the schools. Is that true?
No.
Well, that's what we heard down here anyway.
Where's down here?
Down here's in Florida.
Oh, God in heaven. All right. Yeah, no. That's not, no.
Okay, well, anyway, I think if the Democratic Party revisits how they did this thing, and next time around changes their mind and starts listening to the people, I think things will be a little bit better for them.
I agree with that. Like, the previous person really expanded on like, And I feel like both of us agree with what that previous person said.
Yes.
So, yeah, like the Democrats dropped the ball because they weren't listening to the concerns of the people. Like one of the biggest criticisms is how they snubbed the uncommitted movement. And it's like, no, you don't snub your constituent. Like, who did you get this from? Like,
Yeah.
it's I know the demographics, but I don't know like the demographics in comparison to the population. But we know a
Right.
lot of people didn't vote.
Well, they said over 16 million people didn't vote.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
like, could you have done anything differently to get those people to be inspired to vote? Or could you just try to run Republican light because you know the Republicans are going to vote? So instead of being like, hey, you should actually vote for me, and this isn't just about abortion, like,
Yeah.
instead of trying to change Republicans' minds, that would have been it. But like Republicans are going to vote Republican, and here we are because they also
Right.
voted Republican Congress and Senate.
Yes. You know, and there was a lot of things like when she was asked, you know, are you going to do anything different, you know, from Joe Biden? Can you think of anything? And she says, no, I really can't think of anything that I would do different. You know, she should have pulled herself away from that so fast, you know, and said, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And it would have been a lot better for her because, you know, the Republican campaign focused on the middle class. They just pounded us with, you know, things aren't right. You're losing your jobs. This is how it's going to happen. The influx of immigrants is killing you guys. And the Democratic Party said abortion, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. And that was all it.
Yeah, it was because a lot of people want to be like, oh, if you're voting third party, you're just voting for Palestine, a single party issue, when there's
Yeah.
so many other issues. And it's like all y'all have going for you is abortion. Other than abortion, you're the same. And it's like, because she said that she supported fracking. She said she was going to continue to build the wall. She didn't separate from Joe Biden on anything. There were no, that she had well, I can't say Israeli Americans. I don't know those people. She had Israelis at the DNC. She had law enforcement at the DNC. She didn't have trans people at the DNC. She didn't have Palestinian Americans at the DNC. It's like, and like they scheduled a Palestinian and then canceled abruptly. So those people sat outside like, what the
Right.
hell? So
Yeah.
like the Democrats just straight up snubbed people.
Well, and you know, the biggest group of people that they snubbed are the union people. I
Yeah.
mean, the UAW did not vote as a whole. Basically, their upper administration voted to back Kamala Harris. All the other unions listened to their members, and you know, even though they did not put their, you know, stamp on the Republican Party and back Trump, they knew by going neutral that, you know, it was over 69% of the AFL-CIO. And I'm a retired firefighter, so I was in the IAFF for 22 years. And this is the first time that I could remember the IAFF, the union, the firefighters union, not going Democrat. So there was something going on. People didn't like it. And, you know, the Democrats did not listen to what was going on.
I absolutely agree, and I do appreciate your insight. Hey Sam, and like first of all, thank you for your service as a former firefighter, and this really fucking sucks that this has turned out this way for everybody, but your insight is extremely valuable, and I as somebody who's like, I'm gonna go ahead and describe myself as union light because like I very much support unions. I help unionize a grocery store. I'm all about unions, but I don't know what it's like to be a firefighter or a hospital employee or anything like that, or
Right.
anybody in the medical field or anything. But yeah, it's like she told the same speech every time to different groups of people,
Yeah.
which is a like I'm surprised at how unanimous a criticism this is.
Right.
And it's like I said earlier, like this group over here cares about abortion. This group over here cares about the environment. This group over here cares about unions and workers' rights. But you're giving the same speech to each group, and you're only changing your speech a little bit after the debates. But you're still
Right.
telling the different groups the same thing, which makes it very clear that you don't care about the community's individual concerns. Like I understand intersectionality. Don't get me wrong. All these
Right.
issues affect us, but like the people who are having a drought don't have the same concerns as the people who have access to health care and abortion. Like, let's get on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this country ain't been on the same page for a long time, and it's
Thanks.
about time. It's about time that we get on the same page. And a lot of it's got to do with you know, respect and racism's playing a big part in it. But there are people in this country that profit by it, and I hate that. I hate that so much. Me being the grandfather of five, biracial kids, and I hate that ever coming out. And those people that profit by it, I just think that they're an abomination. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's like it's not just the individuals. Well, you know this. It's not individuals, it's institutions.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
definitely.
like Wells Fargo isn't the only one, and there's actually a pretty long list, but all of those companies that were around that started during slavery, and like just like Wall Street was the original like slave trade spot.
Oh,
Like
exactly.
there are so many of these institutions that still exist and still profit off of the racism that started this country. And
Yep.
yet people will go around acting like everything's hunky dory, which is like one thing that I'm going to say about not only a Trump presidency, but also Republican Congress and Senate, is that we don't have any more wiggle room to pretend like things are okay. And that's the kick in the pants that we need.
Exactly. Exactly. You're right on that. There is no wiggle room. All right. I mean, and the quickest way to a point is a straight line, right?
Right.
We've all been taught that right through grade school and college. The quickest point is through a straight line, and ain't nobody walking that straight line yet.
You're absolutely right.
Nobody. But anyway, listen. I gotta go. My wife's got an appointment. We'll take care. Thank you for bringing me on. I appreciate you, and I gave you a follow.
Right on, Billy. Thank you so much for coming up.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, y'all. With that being said, I feel like we had some great conversations today. If anybody else wants to come up, you're also welcome to come up. As you can see by my last two participants, I don't bite. But if nobody else is going to come up, we are going to go ahead and call it here because I also have an appointment. I forgot exactly what time the appointment is. But also I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing a whole lot of comrades that have came and went. So I'm going to also say hey to them. Hello, Red Lodger. Hello, Iceman. Hello, Megan. But yeah, I can wait a few more minutes. The guest box is definitely open. As you can see, it says multi-guest up there at the very top. Hello, Mary carried you. Hello, Codler. Hello, Ivan. But yeah, the conversations that we have around here are quite valuable. Hello, The Echo. Love that name. Thank you for the likes. And I have also been on live for a bit because I was live on my other account. Ugh. And then TikTok is being very obnoxious with these invites from other people that I don't know to battle. And I've done battles before, but it's just not conducive to the platform that I try to have. Hello, Big Zig TV. Hello, Diane. Hello, Bobby. But yeah, it's like for all of TikTok's flaws, it's definitely allowed me to meet people that I normally wouldn't have been able to meet. And I appreciate that. Well, thank you for the follow, Paul. But the guest box is open. But yeah, they If there was a primary, she would have won. What does that mean? Would you like to explain? You can come up and explain. Oh yeah, the primary had already come and gone.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
We're going.
Fair enough. Would you like to explain your comment?
Yeah, I just meant by that if there was a primary and she would have gotten the nomination, I think that more people would have been inclined to vote for her versus just being selected by the party.
Yeah, as I invited you up to expand on that, I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, she got on after the primary.
Yeah, it was Biden dropped out after that first debate. Didn't look good, and I think it was because of campaign finance laws. They had to pick Harris. Because she's on the ticket already. And so her name was already on all those campaign funds.
Yes.
So she would have been the pick. But if Biden would have dropped out sooner and there would have been a primary, I think Dems would have swept this time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a political independent, so I don't fall one way or another.
So with the way that they also voted Republican for Congress and Senate, what makes you think that the Democrats would have swept?
Because there would have been possibly a better candidate that would have discussed policy issues. And I just feel like the people would have picked a better Democrat to represent, I guess, the general feelings of America. Like, I would have voted Democrat if she wasn't the nominee, and I didn't vote for Trump either, for that matter.
Right. You said you're independent. You're fine. There's no need to disclose who people did or did not vote for.
I appreciate that. There's so many other lives where it's like you have to disclose it.
Yeah, no, this is about criticizing the campaign. This isn't about disclosing who you voted for. You have the right to a secure ballot. I also just don't give a shit.
I really appreciate that.
You're good. Biden or Harris would have lost anyway. I think I don't. There's a typo there. They didn't stand a chance. They did stand a chance, though. It's just that they chose to run off of abortion when they could have went on ahead and did something about that.
Yeah, I did see something kind of to chime in on that, if I can. That someone posted online that to use culture war issues like abortion or other like transgender policies, things like that, is a privilege when people can't afford groceries. And I think that's where a lot of Americans are, where they're like, I can't afford groceries. Why should I care about these social issues whenever the price of groceries affects everyone?
You're absolutely right. And abortion, I think it's underrated how abortion also affects everyone. And instead of taking the opportunity to educate people on that, they just ran off of abortion expecting everybody to know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, and there's no middle ground on it. You either have to be completely for or completely against it. And if you're not, then I'm going to call you some kind of ist or ism.
Yeah. Somebody said go woke, go broke. Motherfucker, you already broke. Y'all the ones constantly talking about how you can't afford groceries. We're all already poor, you fucking idiot. Shut up.
Well, thank you for letting me chime in. I'm just on my lunch break at work, so I have to get back to work.
Right on. You take care, JD.
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Go ahead, Maddie.
Hi, I'm just gonna say, I think that the campaign itself, I agree that if we had had more time and if she had been in the primaries, that it would have looked a little bit different, and that's really tragic. I don't think that I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that she's a woman, and I've heard numerous times people saying like, oh, but she's a woman, and like, what if she gets her period? Well, she's 60, so that's not gonna happen, but okay. And it's just the men in this country don't have respect for women, and it's really tragic considering that there's numerous countries that are led by women.
Yeah.
For example, the president of Mexico is a woman.
The president of New Zealand's a woman.
Yeah, there's numerous right now that have women presidents and leaders, and I think it's really tragic. I think that Kamala would have brought change that we needed to see if she had had the opportunity to campaign and reach the people. I do agree that the campaign leading towards abortion, but not wanting to actually educate people in the matter of abortion is really tragic. I believe that, I mean, I know I live in Alabama, so I know that when Roe v. Wade was overturned and it was given to the state, that means that it's up for our states to choose. And that's why we have women dying every single day from not being able to have access to health care. And it is important for it to be given back, like Roe v. Wade, to come back and be protected federally for women. But I don't agree that there's anything that they could do in office now, because our House and Senate were so divided that nothing's able to get passed. Anything that was ever sent in is just being shot down by either side. And you know, I think we're going to see a lot of Papa. We're going to see a lot of things coming through now that we have the House and the Senate are both held Republican, and we have a Republican president. You know, we're going to see a lot of stuff being passed and coming through because it has access to do so. It's not being blocked by either side. And you know, it's really terrifying. I'm terrified. And I don't know. I'm angry, and that's really all I have to say.
Yeah, I feel that. And like I feel like it is definitely underrated how like the Republicans have a supermajority, and then a lot of us vote next year, like we have an off year from the general election. And it's just going to be part 2 of that. So, yeah, it's
well, like my ballot here in Alabama, the only Democrat / independent that we had on our ballot were for presidential election. So every single Senate position, literally, we had a board of education. I don't remember what all was on our ballot. It was all Republicans that were uncontested.
yeah.
And so I voted for my presidential candidate, and that was it. I did not vote on anything else because I didn't want to give that vote to a Republican. But it was really disheartening to see we had where I'm at, no Democrat running for anything at all.
Yeah.
Every single other spot was uncontested Republican.
Republicans. Yeah, that's a huge problem in some areas too. We also had, like, I'm in Minnesota, so we had some uncontested Democrats, but like uncontested is a problem.
Right,
There should
for
always
sure.
be competition for a fair election.
For sure.
But like running for office costs money, and like these motherfuckers can't afford groceries. They can't even afford a $2.99 subscription to be able to continue to comment bullshit in the chat. But they think that they won something. Like, you still can't afford a $2.99 subscription or groceries.
I'm really heartbroken that we do have so much misinformation. I was just in another person's live just a little while ago, and she was debating and having conversations with people, and she had 2 or 3 back-to-back white men come into the chat and like, oh, we love our women, but then don't do any kind of research to back it up. No kind of... He literally, she started talking about like AB rights, and even though it's given to the state and what that looks like, he was just like, I don't look at those statistics because I don't care. It doesn't affect me because I'm a man. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, there you go.
okay, that's cute. Love that. Pop off. And that's bullcrap. 110%. If you're gonna come up here and say that you don't believe in something, please at least do the research to know what you're speaking on.
Exactly.
And I will say also to the AB rights, it is so heartbreaking that in our country, women, every woman, almost every single woman will experience SA at some point in their life. It's 1 in 4. And that's just reported. 1 in 4 reported.
Right.
And that at this point, you have to be a victim in order to get health care in most states. And there's a few states who have now completely said no under absolutely no circumstances. and that is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And we hear all the time, I hear all the time, like, oh, don't bring the 1% of grape cases. That's 1%. That's the 1%. But then want to turn around and say that people are having this done at 9 months. That's the 1%. Those are people that have held this pregnancy for 9 months, that love this child, that want this child, and there's something medically wrong with this pregnancy, and it can't continue. Please do the research and stop spewing hatred and misinformation. And I'm so angry about it. I'm so mad that's what we've come to.
That's why it's important to educate people on abortion. That's what's going to be happening over the next 4 years. So like there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this, right? Like, first of all, like, it's just like there's a lot of hysteria around what can and can't be done. The first time it was the nuclear codes, and we like, no, that's not how that works. And now it's martial law, and we're like, no, that's not how that works. And it's like people are going to become more militant. More education is going to be free, like how to do a DIY AB safely, basically, like what herbs you can get and stuff like that, and like community safety is going to be a huge thing. Like, people are going to be like more militant now, that because we're dancing with the devil that we know. We've seen all the tactics, we know the talking points, and thank you for the subscription, thank you so much. We know what we're dealing with versus dealing with the, like, Democrats are backstabbers. And the reason why I say Democrats are backstabbers is because they campaigned off of Roe v. Wade when they could have just fixed that shit, because they're already in office and they didn't do it. And they were saying that they're going to be more progressive in all this here while not wavering on anybody else's previous policies. So, like, no, we can't really trust them because they say one thing and they do another a lot of the time. Now, do I think that Kamala actually would have restored Roe v. Wade? Yeah, absolutely, because that's the main thing she was running off of. And if you can do one thing, you can do that. But if you if you can, like, oh wow, a hater actually bought a subscription, thank you. So, like, well, you know what? Now I can say it. The hater actually bought the subscription. The whole thing is like, wow, I'm actually so impressed I lost my train of thought. Thank you, man. Like, wow, y'all actually came through. You paid that $2.99 just to say that. I love that. Thank you. Unironically, thank you. But yeah. The whole we go one at a time. We're not doing debates, and we're definitely not talking over people. But the whole thing, but you can come up when Maddie is gone. So, like, a presidential candidate is only going to do maybe two things that they promised to do. But hello, Nomad Trucker. Hello, Republican garbage. But she definitely would have done that. But it's like, there's nothing stopping from Joe Biden from doing that now. We see in real time how the Democrats are holding an issue hostage to run off of a campaign promise. Not to say that the Republicans don't do it either. I'm just saying that we are seeing you do it. We know you can fix this now, and you're choosing not to. So, yeah.
I really think that it's disappointing that this is where we're at. I will say, a lot of fear mongering is happening right now, especially in the community that I'm in, and like the things that I'm saying about Project 2025. And I will say wholeheartedly that I hope that it is fear mongering, and that if the start of Project 2025 begins, that we as a nation step up and overthrow, and, well, I don't want to even say overthrow because that's such an ugly word, but like step in and be like, hey, like, this is not okay. But
let's say what we mean, right? Let's say, hey, if we gotta fucking like punch some skulls, then we're gonna do it. Like, there's no way around it. Like, and we also have to stop shying away from being ugly. Like, it just is what it is.
Right. No, I totally agree. Like uh I will say I truly hope that it is fear mongering. I've read through numerous times Project 2025. The people who say that Trump is not involved with it, I think are uneducated and just believe anything that they're told. If you read it and you look, his name is mentioned over 312 times in Project 2025.
Right.
It's disgusting, and it's terrifying, and it's scary. And I will just say that for me and myself and my family, I have started preparing to. I'm making a plan to stay safe and evacuate if necessary. And I would suggest to all women, especially women within childbearing ages, to please do the same thing and prepare and educate yourself. Don't just go based off of what you're hearing or what you hear one person say or what you're seeing online. Do the research for yourself, and don't just be a blind like person that's following one simple thing. Do the research for yourself and learn and educate and take the precautions necessary for yourself and for your family.
Yeah.
Because I'm
And
terrified.
I will say, with that, leaving is a privilege. And when
Mm,
you do leave, especially if you're white, you need to understand that you are taking the problems of colonization and how this is manifested into what it is now to a
mm,
different place.
mm. I agree. And I agree that it is a privilege. And I know that from just personally speaking, for me and my family, we don't necessarily have the funds or the means or the resources.
Right.
But I am a strong believer in being prepared for
Yeah, I'm not
everything,
saying
and that's what I'm planning to do.
Yeah, I'm not saying
Like you
don't
said,
go. You should
yeah,
definitely go. If you know, do whatever like will keep you safe. It's just like, don't forget that, like, white people going to a different country for a better life is what got this started.
right.
All right, so I'm gonna let you go so Wayne can come up if there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I hope you have a good day.
Yeah, same to you, Maddie. Thank you. Here, both who seek asylum. Yeah.
Yo,
Um.
can you hear me?
and- Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Okay, cool. So, to start, I'm a black Gen Zer from Detroit
Okay.
that is an advocate for the third party.
Okay.
And I oftentimes throughout the election, like Maddie said previously, it's a lot of people that's uneducated on both sides, unfortunately. So I'm 21, so this was my first year being able to officially vote because I
Hmm.
was 17 at the time of the 2020 election. So in
Yeah.
that time, I did research on both sides. And in regards to Project 2025, that's fear mongering, I believe, on the Democratic Party side. Personally, I feel like that's fear mongering. And while Trump name was mentioned in Project 2025 one or multiple times, that's because the Republican Party painted Trump as their president. There was no other candidate that had a realistic chance of winning. We talked about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance had no realistic chance of winning. RFK, he was more so third party. He had no chance of winning. That's why he then joined the Republican Party. Vivek, no realistic chance of winning. So they pointed Donald Trump as their guy. Agenda 47 is Donald Trump's policy. Donald Trump denounced Project 2025 and his involvement with it during the Biden election, or not the election, I'm sorry, the Biden debate.
Yeah.
He then denounced it again when when asked about it, a reporter asked him in regards to Florida. They had just recently changed their laws to it being 5 weeks for abortions, and he denounced that, saying that 5 to 6 weeks is way too soon. And he left it up to the states. And I say that I'm criticizing the Democratic Party because yes, Biden couldn't change anything because the Republicans rule the House. But I feel that the Democratic Party hangs Roe v. Wade over people's head just as a campaign argument to get them out to vote. Because personally,
Well, yeah.
as a third party person, I was in the belief of once Biden dropped out of the election, Kamala was going to wash Trump because 75% of America said that they didn't want a rematch of the 2020 election because everybody was fed up with both sides because people forget that Trump was impeached on his way out. So people were fed up with Trump as well. So they put this face in and they just ran her campaign wrong. I'm not going to lie. They didn't really start our policy. Go ahead.
Somebody said earlier that two people said earlier that if she had been in the primary, if he, like, a lot of people, the big criticism, not necessarily of the Harris campaign, but of like how the Democrats did this, is that he should have dropped out sooner so she could have been in the primary. And like, she didn't have enough time to really campaign. She scrambled too soon. She flip-flopped on a lot of stuff. It's like, but she's a politician, so it's like, and she was also a politician put in a very unique situation of being appointed after the primary. And like, it didn't help that, like, as a person who has all these other demographics, she didn't waver on anything that Joe Biden did. So she was just going to be Joe Biden part 2 with a different face.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm 19, by the way. I'm from Missouri, and I did vote for Trump. But I feel like,
young man, learn some manners.
He probably missed the talking over folk. That's cool. Yeah. But no, I agree. And I'm not even going to put the blame on her because, like I said, she was dealt a horrible hand. But my thing is, I'm going to put it on the Democratic Party because there was already talks of Biden there was talks of Biden being a transitional president. He was going to be a 4-year president. He was going to drop out because of age, because of his way to run his inability to run the country.
No, it's also Kamala Harris's fault. She snubbed the uncommitted movement. People are criticizing her speeches. So for me, the criticism is that she told the same speech to different communities, and that's not how you fucking talk to people because every community has a different issue. And more than one person has said that she has changed her accent to pander to the different areas. Look into that. Look into that for real. She changed her accent in different areas.
Jamaican, Haitian.
Yeah, like I didn't pick up on that. Other people did. People who are better body language analyzers than I am picked up on that. But like, more than one person has said it now, and that's like a really specific thing to try to lie about. That's all I'm saying.
I also feel. Oh my bad. Go ahead.
So like, there were, and the DNC fucked her over too. Because they had law enforcement there and they had Israelis there, but they didn't have trans people there and they didn't have Palestinians there. And like, her whole language throughout her campaign has been removing Palestinians from personhood as much as possible. She never referred to the Palestinians as people. She'll say Israeli people, but she'll refer to the Palestinians as a situation rather than a population. So it's like, hey, all caps for mods only. You need to stop.
Yeah. And her whole campaign.
1 minute. Hang on, 1 minute mute. All caps are for mods only. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, her whole campaign, it was a money ruse. So like, when Joe Biden dropped out of the election, he dropped out so close to when shit was about to get jumping that if they would have sent it to an open convention, she would have got washed because she got washed in 2020. So it took him 3.5 weeks to endorse her after dropping out of the race. So they were scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And they ended up endorsing her because if they didn't, all the money that they raised and fundraised and got endorsed with, they would have lost. And they would have had to completely start over. So
that's true.
I feel like it was a money grab. And then almost like you said, the accents, and there was things here in Michigan. She was running because Michigan has the most Arab people in the country. And she was running ads talking about ending the war here. But then she was running ads in Wisconsin talking about she's always going to give Israel the chance to defend themselves. And we're going to fight U.S. fight. You know what I'm saying? So that's pandering. That's pandering.
No,
And
dog,
then
you
the
just told me
pandering
some
to the
shit.
Gen Z, the pandering to the Gen Z, endorsing certain, like all the, on
So,
both sides. I'm not even gonna lie, on
I'm a
both sides.
so I watched a video about how the presidential election is comparable to pro wrestling because Trump is a former pro wrestler, just so y'all know. Um, and it's like point on, like when it comes to the endorsements, it's spot on. I definitely suggest watching that. The YouTube channel is called Uncivilized, and I think the title of the video is how Trump used pro wrestling to do his campaign or something. But really, it's about both of them. They just used Trump for clickbait. But the endorsements were fucked up, and we're saying that on both sides. However, people have pointed out that most of the people that were endorsing the Democrats were on the Sean P. Diddy Combs list. And people aren't rocking with the Sean P. Diddy Combs list right now. Like, I think the only person that they had that I know of was Eminem. But, like, they had Beyonce and Lizzo and a whole bunch of other problematic figures. And of all the rappers they could have picked, it's honestly offensive that they picked Eminem. So it's and also like endorsements are nice, but they obviously don't win elections. If it was a matter of endorsements, of course Kamala Harris would have swept the floor with him. But like people at a time when people are becoming disillusioned about celebrities because of what's happened with Sean P. Diddy Combs, that shit wasn't going to work anyway. And Chaperone was right. Like Chaperone was the put herself. I'm sorry, I don't know Chaperone's pronouns, y'all. Put themselves at the forefront because it's like people. On the other hand, people were doing whatever they could to quell any criticisms about the Democratic Party. It's like the snubbing. The snubbing was the bigger issue for me, from my perspective as somebody who got tokenized as a homeless person. People constantly trying to tell me how my life would be worse while you don't give a shit about homelessness and you're just cosplaying as you give a shit. Meanwhile, you're tokenizing, you're talking over, and you're degrading the people that you claim that you're advocating for. So, like, the snubbing and the talking down to was real with the Democrats. And they figured out that if you snub people and talk down to them, you lose. And it's like, when are they going to actually learn this lesson? You know what I mean? Because this happened with Hillary.
I agree. And that's why it was such, this election was so easy for the Democrats to win because this election was the battle of the extremists. You had your extremely conservative people, you had your extremely liberal people, and then you had the mixed people within that were on the fence about who to vote for. And then they just end up going with their values and their morals.
Right.
So to say when you lead your election with, or when you lead your campaign with, you talking about really tough takes, trans rights, abortion rights.
Right.
And in your, I guess, abortion rights case, when you're talking about that, you're not telling you're not telling truth. You're telling lies. And then even on the Republican side, in your case, when you spoke about homelessness, both parties, they think the solution to homelessness is building more houses when all that's going to happen when they build more houses is stockbrokers and Wall Street is just going to buy up all the houses and set the market at whatever it is that they want to set. We're headed to a recession. Republicans, they love recessions. In the 11 recessions that we've had in U.S. history, 10 of them have been under a Republican president.
That's true.
And Democrats, they love war. Every war that we've had, both wars were under the Democratic Party. So I think this is just one big, it's one big SNL skit that's falling. Like, that's why I think we're going to be okay regardless. We still have some Democratic people within the House. We have some in the states that are Democratic. They're big states. There are our home. They're the Houstons, the Detroits, the Chicagos, the Californias. They got heavy hitters on the Democratic side, so a lot of those laws I don't think will go into effect.
Well, I think that so when it comes to go back to what you were saying about the houses, so like the Republicans just want homeless people dead, and they're very transparent about it. But when it comes to the Democrats, I think that the Democrats use housing as a ploy because they know that there's a whole lot of red tape when it comes to building new homes, instead of doing something with the homes that we already have, like buying the homes from these companies like Zillow, that's basically hoarding the resources that we already have built, and making those government subsidized housing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like if they say, oh, we're going to build new buildings, then you have to do the zoning laws, and you have to do all the red tape. You have to do the developers and all this shit here, instead of just buying the empty homes and empty apartment units that are already available, which is way more feasible, way quicker. So like the Democrats will scapegoat building new homes because they know that it'd be like it's easier to be like, oh, we'll just build you new stuff, and then be like, oh, we can't build you new stuff. It's too complicated. It's very much pretending to care. Whereas the Republicans are like, nah, we're just gonna fucking throw you in the fucking Florida swamp so you can get eaten by alligators because we don't like poor people. And that's it.
Because I do real estate in Detroit, and like you said, buying up what we already have. There's so many abandoned homes in Detroit. The only part we say Detroit is making a comeback as a city, the only parts of Detroit that are making a comeback are downtown and midtown. That's where all the tourists come in for Lions games, Tigers games, Pistons games, Red Wings games, and any concerts that are hosted at Little Caesars Arena. So that's where they're coming. They're Airbnb-ing and getting hotels in those areas. So they're gonna buy up the stockbroker. The government is gonna buy up those areas and make it nice. But the inner cities of Detroit are still fucked up. Like,
so it's my understanding. So like, and correct me if I'm wrong. And I heard you said egregiously. It's my understanding that Detroit, when shit really hit the fan with Detroit, poor people started coming there because buying property was cheaper, and the poor people started taking care of the properties and making it look nice. So like basically the white flight reversed, and people started moving there again because poor people came in and started making it look nice. So now they're like moving in these cafes and shit, trying to get these other people that left and abandoned the city back. That's my understanding. I mean, two things can be true, but that's the side of the story that I got.
Yeah, it's that, and also, I'm gonna keep it a buck. A lot of people of color are moving upwards because, like you said, people of color stayed in the city. Caucasian people stayed in the suburbs. So now people of color are moving more out to the suburban areas, the suburban cities of, like, they call it Metro Detroit. So now they're moving outside to those cities. So now all the non-melanated people are moving back to the city because now they're trying to revamp the city. The city really only being downtown. So now they're buying these properties dirt cheap because of systemic area placement amongst folks. So now it's cheap. It's just resetting the market. It's like now the market is so damn high, everybody's selling because we're in a bull run. So now shit's about to change. It's all interconnected and it's all one. Everything that's going on in politics, I'm gonna keep it above. Both sides don't care about your abortion laws. Both sides don't care about your rights. Both sides don't care about all they care about is money. It's money. Everything is money based. What's going on right now in Palestine, Gaza, it's money based. Simple.
Oh, absolutely.
Simple. It's just Russia just doesn't want Ukraine to deal with NATO. And if they could get some type of treaty done, all of that would be over. That's why we now see everybody's trying to come together after Trump won the election.
Well, people have been trying to come together. It's just like now we're starting to go off into other things when really the topic's about criticizing the campaign. Um, but when it comes to come back to what you just said, like we survived Reagan. We're still like, for all things considered, we're still standing. We survived George Bush Part 1. We survived Trump Part 1, and we're gonna survive Trump Part 2. We will be fine. We really will.
Yeah,
It's
people
just like
think we going
there's
back to
all this
the.
hysteria and panic and shit, and it's like, y'all fucking calm down, please.
I went to work the night of the election. Somebody had called off at our job. Once Trump won the election, I still had to take that overtime shift. I still had to wake up the next day and go to work. And nothing changed, and nothing's going to change. Everything is propaganda. Remember they said they were going to build a wall in China? Or build a wall at the border? My bad.
Good. A wall did happen in China, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, not that wall, my bad. But yeah, with the border, didn't happen. Everything. Then Biden was going to cut student loans. Didn't happen. Cut them for a percentage of people.
Right.
He cut the people that owe the big cheese, the 6 figures, but he didn't cut the little people, the 10 to 20,000.
He could, and that's the thing though. The president is the head of the Department of Education. He could have just did that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, we see you playing in our face. People are tired of people playing in their face. And I feel like whatever people are going to do from here, they're going to feel more comfortable doing it to Trump than they would have been doing it to Kamala. That's my speculation.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And I feel, to get back on the topic, I would have been just okay with it going to an open convention and getting a new candidate. Because with what Biden put her in charge of, because they asked this entire election, what is the job of the VP? We know she had 2 jobs. She was in charge of the border, and she was also put in charge of one more thing. It was the border and
the vice president does like the foreign affairs for the most part, right?
And she was like the breaking tie, or she was the tie breaking vote. But yes, with the border, they say that we had a problem with our borders, and that was a main selling point for the Republicans. So it wasn't a good look to put the main culprit of your problems,
right,
as your campaign, the person you're going to campaign behind, and then you got a horrible VP behind her. That's just even worse. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's an SNL skit. I don't want to be no conspiracy theorist, and I don't want to jump in here on that type of timing. But
it's okay.
Both sides, whoever watching is Democrat, Republican, y'all gonna be fine. Don't trip. Get through the 4 years. These same people, now that we see all these people, once January 20th come and go, they gonna disappear for another three years, and then they gonna pop up 6 months before the election and sell you a dream. Vote third party or don't vote, and watch the change in the world. If everybody did that, the minute we do that, the game is over. I promise you.
More people were uncommitted, and more people voted third party than previous elections. But like, we still building this, like, for real.
Yeah, and that's when people say, "Oh, why would you vote third party? That's a wasted vote." No, it's not. If we're talking my party, if the third party takes up 5% of the presidential election votes, then they get funding match from the U.S. Government. So that ultimately makes our party richer and more competitive in the long term. So that's why people ask. I always tell them that, and they say, "Oh, you could have took your vote." No, I don't like both sides.
Yeah, and isn't that the point of the whole election? Like, voting your values. Like, being mad at somebody for voting their values is fucking weird. Just saying. But I'm gonna introduce King. King's been waiting patiently. King, how you doing?
Go ahead. Good afternoon. I don't really want to address Juan. I wanted to agree with him because I'm an independent voter. I did vote for Kamala, but the point I'm making that my vote was because I wanted to protect the federal courts enough that we can get more judges in there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I wanted to at least protect the seats that we're going to lose in SCOTUS probably within the next three to 4 years. That's the reason why I voted. But I agree with you, Juan. I wish they would have had an open convention, even though they should have had an open convention.
Right.
And they had time to do it. And they should have had the open convention, and all of the candidates, including Michelle Obama, could have put their names up for candidacy. And we all know she probably wouldn't have won. I mean, not Michelle, but Kamala would not have won that the enough delegates to be the Democratic nominee. So we know that happened.
Well, hang on, because Michelle. First of all, one, we're gonna break this habit of people feeling like they need to disclose who they voted for. This isn't about who you voted for. This is about criticizing the campaign.
But that's what I'm going to get to.
Hang on a second. I know people have been doing this for months, and there have even been some live stream hosts that require that you disclose that information, but we're breaking that habit now. And second of all, Michelle Obama ain't interested in running.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. But now, in regards to their campaign, this is what the things that the campaign didn't do. They did not address any issue relative to inflation. You could tell people all day long, "I'm going to give you something," but if you don't tell them how, they're not gonna understand what you're saying. So the first thing that she did wrong, when people were asking her, "How are you going to reduce inflation?" and her comment, it was never an answer to that, and only people picked up on that were people who were independent voters. We picked up on it. We asked her. There were so many questions that we could have asked her when she started going around to certain groups and trying to get them to vote for her. She never had an idea what to say. She didn't know how to say it. So we knew it was a script, because everywhere she went, particularly when she had those rallies in all these cities, she never had something different that she could tell.
So I know what you're saying. It's the same criticism. It's like a very popular criticism that I didn't think would be popular that I also had. She told the same speech everywhere.
Yeah, it was the script.
The same speech everywhere, because if you tell the same speech everywhere, you're showing people that you don't care about their community. Because
it's going to be shown on television. It's going to be shown on the network televisions. We're going to see that you're going to say $25,000. Or you're going to have a list that he's going to have. That's a script. That's the script. She never took herself off that, and she never made herself look original. But the point,
what? Well, hang on, because there are parts where she has been recorded being off script, and she struggles at being off script.
Mm-hmm. She struggled, and that's why a lot of people held their nose to vote for her. And then you cannot win, and you and I know this, and no disrespect to you, host. You and I know, and Juan know that you cannot win an election on issues in regards to the LGBT community. You cannot. That's not a winning issue.
Liberal.
It's too leftist. It's a leftist issue. You cannot. Well, you know what I mean?
No, I don't. But the thing is when it came to being, it's there were no trans people at the DNC.
Right, but she ran on that.
And then when she was asked directly, she said we should go by the laws. She didn't even make it a fucking definitive answer. So it was that's not even a thing that happened.
Her whole side of that argument was pushed.
Hang on, stop. Both of y'all stop. Two people are talking at the same time.
I'm sorry.
One at a time.
I was about to say, her whole side of the campaign on that was just fear mongering on what Donald Trump could do without backing up any facts behind it. That's what it was. It just wasn't enough legwork put in on her end.
It was talking about what he could do while not mentioning anything that she would do. And when she asked, she essentially said that she wouldn't do anything, so she can fuck off.
And then you'll hear and see things. You'll see Trump go sit down on Joe Rogan podcast for 3 hours unedited, just talking about anything. It wasn't even a political conversation. It was just a conversation. And then he requests to sit down with her, and then she only can do an hour. You have to fly out to her, and then we'll send you so you're trying to edit what the hell we just talked about.
Yeah, so she was, and that's the reason why she lost, because the questions that were asked her. Let's just be honest. She was under a script campaign, and when she wasn't off script, you didn't see authenticity, and that's why she lost. And to only focus on AB is only thing that she ran. She ran solely on that. She completely forgot about men in this election, because had she took away, if she talked about how she was going to get more people into healthcare, how she going to get more people off of government assistance, she probably would have took some Republicans from with her, but she didn't. She never talked about how she's going to pay for college, how people are going to afford to pay for college. Biden did everything that Biden did in 2020. She didn't do at all in this election, and that's why she lost. And I voted for her because, like I told you, I'm pro courts. I believe the most powerful entity in this country is not the Congress or the Senate; it's the courts. Because when something goes, when a law needs to be changed, it can go through judicial review, and then the Supreme Court gets a hold of it. It's now the law of the land. It can spread like wildfire throughout all the states, and that's why I'm pro court. She pissed me off so much with some of the things that she didn't do, and I don't blame people. I cannot blame people for not voting for her, but I can blame people for not in her camp for not telling her you cannot go to these damn rallies and say the same thing every day. You can't do it, and to not take questions at the people and to have people like Liz Cheney and some Republicans who are considered warmongers at these rallies, and not talk about, okay, well, how are we going to wind down Ukraine? How are we going to? How she can never answer that, and to say that she wouldn't do anything different than Biden, that was a problem for her, right? She never She never contrasted herself between her and Biden. She never attempted to. And I don't care if I was vice president and I'm running for president, and I don't care. The people have to see the difference between him and me. And she didn't do that. And I don't care if she shouldn't have been afraid to do that. Biden was never going to run again. He was, so there shouldn't have been no fear in her to want to change her positions from him. It pissed me off, but hey, it's okay. We're gonna, like I told, like Juan said, we are gonna be okay. 4 years are gonna go by so fast. It went by so fast this year. It's gonna go by, and we have another election in 2026. If we happen to keep the House in 2020, I mean, to keep the House, that'll be fine. But if the numbers in this House are so narrow, there's still hope that he cannot get everything he wants, because there are some Republicans in the House and some in the Senate are not going to just fall behind and pass bills and have him sign bills that are going to be a detriment to their constituency. We know that. So there are going to be some battles, but it's only one year, really. To be honest with you, it's 1 year. We know how it is. An incoming president loses control. Obama went through it in 2010. She's going to go through it again in 2026. So people just got to hold on for another year, because that's in 1 year, because the elections start back in January of 2026. So all of this stuff just going on now, he's going to have to try to push down our throats between now and the end of the year, the end of 2025.
So what you're referring to is one of the things you're referring to is off year, because not everybody votes for Senate and Congress in the same year.
Yeah, so, but there are seats that's going to be up. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some seats that's going to be up. You're right. It's just like, damn, that's going to be quite a year.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a year. It's going to be interesting, because there are going to be more Senate seats up in the Republican side now in 2026 than there are now. Because Democrats had to defend 18, 28 seats, but now they don't have to defend that many in 2026. But at the end of the day, and McConnell's not running, so it could be a situation where Bashir might run for his seat as governor in 2026. But I don't know. But you being an independent candidate, and I'm an independent, we need independent candidates in the House and in the Senate to build up to the presidency. That's how it works. This has to be so grassroots at the bottom and build it up. Like you said, we have more candidates, we have more votes in 2024 than we had in 2020. So that's a good thing. It's just slow, but I think after this election, people understand that. Well, let's just say after the next 4 years, people are going to want an independent president. I'm just going to tell you that now.
You gotta crawl before you walk.
Yeah, I know, right? I heard that
I'm
too.
gonna
I was
mute.
like,
I'm gonna mute. Thank you for allowing me to talk. I'm gonna mute now.
Okay, cool. Hang on, Stacy came up. Hey, Leah. But Stacy came up. Stacy, what's up? Stacy's one of my
Hi.
mods, y'all. Hey.
I just think, like, I'm not disillusioned by the Democratic Party. I voted third party. Democrats have the opportunity right now to put their money where their fucking mouth, or put their, whatever that phrase is, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's 2 months left. If they really want Kamala to like do something and make change, and make change, Biden can drop down, let her be president for the next 2 months and actually make change.
You're right.
Do something.
There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing stopping him from doing that.
Stacey? How? Because they don't own the House. The House is controlled by the Republicans.
They could write an executive order that would have to be challenged.
Right.
Yeah, that can. Yeah,
They
he
could
can
do
write an
that.
executive order that can be challenged, but it will only last till January 20th because any
By the
executive order
time
can be
that-
changed
yeah.
by the president, by Trump.
Yeah, I understand how all of this works.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
So
they could like throw
The
a
point is that what Stacey is getting at is like they absolutely can do that. Like that's
Yeah, we know that, but hey.
but
Not
they're not
everybody knows
going
that,
but
though.
they're not going to. So
Yeah,
that's
they're
the
not cowardly to do that.
that's
There
the
you go. That's the word I was looking to hear Democrats say. That Democrats are cowardly politicians.
Yeah.
They are. That we've had 4 years to write it, to get an executive order on anything that we wanted. We had, and let's just be honest. If they cared about anything other than the elites, as far as the Hollywood money or Hollywood donors, they could have got a lot of things done. My problem with the Democratic Party is that they think too much. They care too much about elites and their causes. They care too much about animal rights and then talking about putting parks and all that stuff in. That is for people who are making billions and millionaires. They care about that stuff. People who aren't on that level, they're trying to fake. I want my kid to go to community college and not have to pay all this money, or go to a 4-year college and not have to pay all this money. They could have wrote an executive order. They could have shoved, and they would have had Republicans to shove through a bill that says that we're not going to have colleges charge, not charge, but we're not going to have 120 credit college degrees anymore. We're going to change that from 120 to 60. And they didn't even do that. So it's not like they couldn't say to the universities or to land grant universities or college, or the money that they giving kids to go to college, from now on, only degrees involving the medical field are going to be 120 because that's what you need. But anything outside of a degree that requires the life or death of a person, we're not going to have you having to go to college 4 years. There should be 2 years or 60 credits, whatever. They didn't do that. There could have been an executive order, like you said, there could have been an executive order, and this is the one that they could have done on the first day he got elected. And I mean this. The first executive order Biden could have done was, I'm going to make sure that if you are in this country and you cannot afford your rent payments, we're going to say anyone who owns businesses, anyone who owns apartment, and I wanted them to do this, anyone who owns apartment buildings, unless your apartment buildings are designed for, I'm going to be long with it. If your apartments have not been renovated in the last 10 to 15 years, your rent payments should not be within the scope of 2020, at the time, 20 rate limits. They should go back to the last time your apartments were renovated. So everyone who's paying 2023 rent or 24 rent should be paying 2023 rent, living in 1996 looking apartments. You know what I'm saying? They could have done that.
I get that, King.
So,
That's a band.
everybody stop. We're gonna pivot around back to the topic, and we're also gonna welcome Leah to the panel. Leah, how you doing? It's always a long time since we hear from you.
I know. I get into thinking mode, if that makes sense. I process and geez,
Yeah,
it's
I hear that.
it's a lot. But as far as the topic, I mean, the Democrats did what they always do, and they didn't get away with it this time. They instead of doing the action, they just promised to do the action and relied on having Trump as an opponent, thinking they would win with not enough action.
Yeah, they did. They ran off of like a lot of. I mean, there was a lot wrong with it, right? But like the Democrats did again what they did with Hillary last time, and they snubbed people and made certain constituents feel insignificant. But Hillary won the popular vote because people still voted for Hillary. Inner city loved Hillary, and that's where a lot of the voters are. Kamala failed all the way around because Kamala pissed off a lot more people. Hey, don't fucking do that. Learn some manners. Fuck out of here. So they they snubbed the uncommitted movement. They had an Israeli speaker. They had Israeli speakers and law enforcement at the DNC, but they didn't have Palestinians, and they didn't have any trans people. Knowing that these are issues that we're having right now, she talked down to pro-Palestinian protesters at a fucking rally. Oh, bye. I'm sorry if I didn't see you leave. Didn't see you say bye, Juan. They did exactly as they always do. You just didn't believe them. Yeah, and it's like on top of pandering to Republicans instead of pandering to their base and not having any of the relevant parties featured at the DNC, and a few people have criticized now that Kamala probably would have done better if she had been a part of the primary instead of Joe waiting to drop out too late. Aside from like pissing off a lot of people and waiting too late, she didn't separate herself from Joe Biden in any way. Like she's still gonna do fracking. She's still gonna do the border shit. She's still gonna send money to Israel. She never even referred to the Palestinian people as people. She referred to Israelis as people, but she referred to the Palestinians as like an omnipotent, omnipresent situation rather than people who have been getting bombed for over 100 years. And it's like, girl, of course you lost. And like your campaign was basically driving off of the disrespect of anybody who didn't agree with you, no matter the party, no matter the beliefs. It was like she was flip-flopping because her policies did not exist. Her policies are on the website. She has policies. It's not a matter of whether or not she had policies. It's a matter of her feeling too confident in her seat, getting cocky and being okay with disrespecting people. And her speeches were the same in every area.
Yep. And like you just said, she never did differentiate. I mean, she never made any contrast between her and Biden. Right. That was the reason why she lost. Because if Biden's numbers were under 50%, he was under 50% for almost 3 years of his presidency. Why wouldn't you differentiate yourself from him? And instantly, even when he said he was not going to run, that was your opportunity to tell the world, tell the country, this is what I would do differently than Biden. And if anyone would have came at you and said, well, you're a vice president, why can't you do this? Her thing was, look, I have 2 jobs, split votes, and run the Senate. She could have said that. And she could have said, this is why I can't do these things now, because I do not have the authority. But if I did have the authority, this is what I would do. She didn't do that. And when you go in front of people, particularly on any podcast, and people on podcasts aren't rich people, aren't podcasts. People, middle class people, average Americans are on podcasts,
Yeah.
on TikTok, on Instagram, on X. They're seeing this stuff and they're like, "Damn, you mean to tell me she can't? She don't need to have the courage to stand up against Biden, and who's actually not going to be president anymore?" That hurt me more than anything. And I'm like, God damn. And I'm like, I blame her campaign people, because they never had the guts to tell her, Kamala, you have to separate yourself from Biden. It doesn't matter. You don't want to alienate his voters, but you're going to have his voters. They're going to be there at the end. You have to focus on those people who are not his voters, and why they're still angry that they're paying all this money for high gas and the price of everything, and truckers aren't getting the loads they want, and they're not getting the money they want, and people and mothers are on, and people who look like you or supposed to look like you are struggling. They're on these websites and they don't know if they're going to vote, and they don't know how they're going to vote, and they're still waiting to figure this out. You need to talk to them. And it never fucking happened. And I'm sorry to say it never happened. And that's why I say the next 4 years, it's going to be tough on some groups. But if you're a black person, and you and I know this, I don't know your real name, but I just said, you and I know this host. We know this story. We went through it in 2000 when we went through this story in the 90s when Bush became president after Clinton's perfect administration. We went through this for 8 years under Bush. The first in '98, when we thought when 2000 when he came in, and we thought he was going to be a terrible president. If we found out he was, after 2001 when 9/11 happened, and in 2008 when we had the crash, we black people went through the worst of this. We will get through this, and then we got Obama in there, and we got through what Obama was the first couple of months of Obama's problems. We got through that. We got through 20. Unfortunately, we got through it under Trump's with COVID. We lost some people, so we know the story. We know how it plays out with Republican presidents, right? So we're gonna go through this for 2 years, and we're gonna go right back through it in 2026, and we're gonna be right back. But here's the thing: if Democrats don't learn that they cannot continually to play politics with people, they're going to lose the next election. They're going to lose every election because they play these late games with voters. Oh, they're going to fly out to black barbershops and thinking that, oh, black men are stupid enough to just go vote because of this. That didn't work this time.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna stop you because hang on, Leah. Stacy wants to say something. Stacy's been waiting for a while, so we're so you're right. It's just I want Stacy to go ahead. Stacy, please go ahead.
King, I agree with almost everything that you're saying, but I have to challenge one stance. You said that Kamala never differentiated herself between Biden, and that's your problem. That is under the assumption that she is different. That's as if there is another side to her that we didn't get to see or that she didn't show or promote to the world. She showed us exactly what she wanted us to see. And the idea that there is differentiation that didn't happen, I think that's like a blind spot maybe. I don't think she is much different. If she was, she would have led with that.
Stacey, I have no argument there. You're right. And that's the question that probably a lot of people was probably pondering during the whole time, during the whole 106-7 days when she was running. That question, because you're right. I didn't see a difference, but I wish she would have had a difference. I wish she would have said something different than what he said. I also wish she would have had the courage to tell the certain groups in this society. I mean, I'll just say this. I'm trying to be TikTok friendly. I wish she would have acknowledged the fact, look, I'm the vice president. They asked me to do things, but this is how I'm gonna do it differently if I was president. It never came out. Okay. Also, I'm tired of hearing this, but the point I'm gonna make is this: we should have had an open convention because that's what I wanted. I wanted an open convention. I just did not want just them to pick these delegates and then she go around the country. I wish other Democrats would have ran and we would have got to the convention and we would have had a candidate at least because Trump was such a bad candidate. I believe had we had a convention, open convention, whoever candidate came out of there, it probably wouldn't have been her. Whatever candidate that came out of that damn convention would have won this election.
But I have to say something though. There was a candidate that was different. There was a candidate about being completely separate from the Democratic Party. There was a candidate that was running policies that were exactly what we need in the country, and it wasn't taken seriously, and people would not support them. Like, there was a candidate. I voted for them. Their name's Jasmine Sherman. Like, that did happen.
I don't know who Jasmine Sherman is, but I'm gonna be honest with you, and you and I. Come on, let's just be realistic. Jasmine Sherman would have had to have billions, millions of dollars of name recognition. She would have had to go on. She would have had to have the backing of billionaires, because millionaires wouldn't have been enough to get her Yep. To get into national politics. She would have to do a lot of that.
Hang on a second. So one, Jasmine's pronouns are they them, and two,
okay, Jasmine.
You're good. And two, we're not gonna keep going down this route because we're straying away from the topic again.
Okay.
And Leah wanted to say something. I want Leah to go next. Please go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if we're looking for the Democrats and the media to be introspective, all I'm seeing at this moment is them blaming propaganda and noise caused by the other side. They're not looking inward. I don't expect them to do so. So what we're gonna have to do is keep that message that we had when we were trying to help a third party candidate, is keep that message going into the next 2 years when we hopefully vote again for the House and Senate seats and all of that. And keep doing mutual aid and keep helping each other and keep talking about it. You know what I mean? As long as it's safe to do so.
That was going to keep being a thing regardless of who was president, because we knew what we would be dealing with either way. We just know what we're dealing with more with the Republicans because the Democrats are fucking two-faced. Motivation Station, hello. What's up? You got to unmute, buddy. All right. Doesn't know how to use TikTok. Anywho.
Yeah, we need, I think the Democratic Party, Party as it is today is over. Today was Tuesday was the last time we see a party that looked like that.
They have to learn to stop talking down to people.
Yeah, they have to stop thinking that they could show up in a month before an election, 2 months before an election. And this is even when Biden was running. I don't care who really was running, and assume that people are just going to hop on board. What Obama did by going to her headquarters and chastising black men voters, that was a cold thing to do. It was, to me. It was cold. And I didn't swallow that at all, because I'm like, and I think someone said it better than anybody. Nina Turner said this better than anybody. Nina Turner said, black men vote, but it's not enough black men voters to offset the white male voters, or white women voters. So to go to them and tell them to vote, or they might vote because of a woman, is ridiculous. Because the 20% of black men who voted for Kamala Harris, that's not even a dent in any electoral map anywhere. I don't care if it's the midterms. I don't care if it's now. It would not make a dent. So their fight should have been with white men. That's where her fight with Obama should have went to white men and told them that, not the black men. But of course, black men and black women are always the low totem pole to go at, because we don't have the structure or the money and the power to defend ourselves in the press. We don't. There's no black media out here on a national level to defend itself. We have to defend ourselves through freaking TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. So we don't have the global reach of white men and white women when it comes to elections. So he wouldn't dare go to them and do that. But he'll beat us up. And I'm sorry, he'll come at us. And then to have her fly into Philadelphia barbershop 2 weeks before the election, and then think, oh, that's fine. And then you had Obama coming. Obama came in there before. She flew in and said what she said. And I'm thinking to myself, did she? And I don't know if you guys saw that Philadelphia interview. Well, my thing was she kept talking about stuff that black men already know. She said that black men said, well, she's going to make some jobs where you don't have to have a college degree. I hate to tell her that. I'm in the state of Maryland. Governor Hogan did that as governor, and he's a Republican governor. He did that already. Okay? Trump and Obama did that when they were in office. Obama started it first. Trump, in his first term, did that. He already had made it so that certain jobs in the federal government don't require degrees. He already did that. So she didn't make any difference.
King, hang on just a second. I'm going to mute you real quick. So Stay Frosty turned off his ability to get invited to live. We got a runner. We got a track star. Stay Frosty is a fucking runner-ass coward. Boo in the chat. L in the chat at Stay Frosty. L in the chat, bitches. Now, you're the one who turned off your ability to get invited, dog. We got L's in the chat for that. We don't do cowards around here. If you want to be a keyboard warrior, I promise you can go be a keyboard warrior somewhere else, my dude. In this live, keyboard warrior sit in the back row.
He can show he's not a coward by just requesting again. I'll accept it. While the host...
He didn't request. We invited him and he turned off his ability to get invited. He's a fucking track star.
No, I'm showing that I'm saying that he can show that he's not by just sending the request in, and I'll gladly accept him while you facilitate hosting your live. Come on, Frosty.
Well, he don't have an option now. He can either scroll on or he can sit in the bleachers. What were you about to say, Leah?
I was just going to say maybe I misunderstood what they were saying, but Stacey picked up what I thought too. But you know, it's always, I'm tired of when people think it's not a multi-dimensional conversation. It's always about more than just blame one person, this, that. It's always more than one thing at the same time. And I'm so, if there's any message that I could stress to people, it's more than one thing can be true at the same time. And I wish more people would internalize that.
I feel that. I appreciate you. King, you can resume. We did get your last point of what you were saying. It's just that there's people also took issue with Obama inviting on Eminem. It's like all these black rappers and you invited Eminem. It's like there were so many turns that added up to the overall loss.
Yes. And then I forgot my thought, but one thing I was going to say was when the DNC put this together, they never even thought to themselves, okay, we need a candidate. They need to look at a candidate that's going to appeal to everybody. That's what I mean by that. That's their campaign. The DNC did not do that. Yeah. I don't know why the DNC did not do that. And then the crazy part about all of this, what I never understood, was when she started running for office. She spent so many weeks campaigning that she never wanted to do press conferences or get people to know her. And my problem with that was, you need to get people to know you now. Raising money, you can do that too. But you need to go on all these networks and all of these podcasts and get yourself out there now, because as the weeks went by, we all noticed by the time people got to know her, she didn't understand. A lot of people still didn't know her.
Yeah. And
because they didn't know her, they still, like you said, Stacey, is that you're expecting me to come in there, you're expecting the voter to know your platform, right? And then you can't differentiate yourself. And then the question I have, Stacey asked perfectly, was, are you? This is the person voting. Yeah. Are you different than Biden?
And the answer was no.
Are you different? Because you said there's no difference between you and him, and then you can't even. Then you put yourself in the hole because you can't even differentiate yourself. And when you tip to, then everybody's gonna call you what? A phony. They're gonna
To be
call you.
fair, she did point out that she was younger.
Yeah, that's about it. But I got an appointment, so we're gonna wrap up with closing statements. And
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It's nice meeting you too. Hopefully someday you can get out there and get your name out there and run for a Senate seat or a House seat. That's if you want to.
I appreciate
now I
you.
know.
I'm actually considering running for mayor where I live. So
Where
I
are
appreciate
you?
it.
Where are you? What state are you in?
I'm in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Because I was on X today, and I was on this Black women's group, and I was telling them, I said, you guys need to stop focusing on these national races, because where it hurts you at, or where it hurts us at, is at the local office, because that's at the federal level, and it's for everyone alive. I'm sorry, Leah and Stacey, but at the local level is where you are impacted at more, right?
Yes.
Because your local taxes. Your local politics determines how much you can afford to buy a home, or how much it is for you to, if you own a car, how much the car insurance and all that's going to be. So that's where the impact is. Nationally is really irrelevant, because your senator can't do nothing, but your state, your mayor, your council, your whatever you guys get called in the state, that's going to hurt you.
Yeah, it really does.
Your
It's
property
like,
taxes, etc. Yeah.
yeah.
So
All
thank
right.
you guys for allowing me up. Thank you, Stacey and Lee. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. You're good.
right.
Leah, you can go next with your closing statements.
Oh, I was just gonna say it was nice to meet you too, and I think it would be awesome. I think that I've been thinking about it for a while. Stacey and I've talked about it, about running for something. I don't know if I am organized enough in my brain to do it, but I would really love to, or support someone that
Running local is easier.
Yeah, that's true.
All right,
But
Stacey,
thank you. It was good to talk to you. I missed you.
It's nice to miss you too, Leah. Good to talk to you too. And I do have something to say before I close the live, so if y'all want to stick around, please do. Go ahead, Stacey.
With the topic of running locally, I think that if the goal is eventually for third party to win the presidency and actually break up this duopoly, we need to engage with a third party and run locally under that, so that that party name gets recognition and it's taken more seriously. If we had members locally, mayors, city board, anything, governor, under that third party name, it would be taken more seriously for the presidential election. So if anybody is interested in doing that and wants to continue to support the Unicorn Party with the policies are already laid out, DM me. I can tell you how to go about doing that. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Hey, that one communist. And hello to some other people that I missed whose names are not popping up, but hello, thank y'all. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Leah. Appreciate you. So, I will be going live on this account because my other account got live access removed. I don't know if it's temporary or permanent. And even when they say it's permanent, it's only about 3 months. But I'll be going live on this account. So y'all be seeing me over here. So please do follow and please do share this account, since this is where I'll be going live. And I also have a third account. So in case something happens to this one, there is another one. I'm all over the place. For other content, go over to my YouTube channel. That's where I post all the videos that get taken down, because I back up all my videos. I learned to back up all my videos from previous situations that involved a scammer that's trying to cover up how she's a scammer. So my videos get backed up on my YouTube channel, and some of them even get backed up on my Instagram, SIKAYOUJO. Right on, got a lot of bacon work, right on. Thank you for coming in, Stacey. But the next best place to find me is YouTube. And the silver lining to Trump getting into office is that we will be keeping TikTok, because Trump has a friend or a donor or whatever you want to call it that is invested in ByteDance. And even though it was originally his idea to ban TikTok, he has since publicly came out, since he had this conversation with this person, that he will not ban TikTok. So we have that to look forward to. In the meantime, you can find me over on YouTube because TikTok still heavily censors people. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say with that. And I'll probably, today is Thursday. I might be back live tomorrow. Like Fridays and stuff are more iffy because there's more people live. There's more live stream NCPs. Y'all know how it is. But yeah, in the meantime, if I don't see y'all tomorrow, have a great weekend and make Nazis afraid again. Now is the time to call upon us to actually punch Nazis in the face. Don't be shy.
Yeah, they're going to be real open about it. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely be able to find them.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. Bye.